Hi, I'm Talina from Envirotecture, and I just wanted to share the story, a little bit of background behind the Garden House project. So this is the finished home. You can see it's set within a beautiful established garden, hence the name. It's located in the town of Woodend in regional Victoria, which has quite extremes in climate. This was a knockdown rebuild project, and the clients had moved from a large rammed earth home out on acreage into the township. And although this house is very sweet and has a lot of character, it was cold, it was moldy, it was not accessible for aging in place, it was dark. There was a lot of things wrong with it, and we did explore, well, could we retrofit it, but it was going to probably cost more than building a new home, so the decision was made for a knockdown rebuild in this case. The property is quite large in terms of a suburban home. It's got very established gardens, mature European trees, as well as gum trees. There's an orchard, veggie patch. So this was a real draw card. And there's a water body next door, a little lake there, and also views to Mount Macedon. So it was a pretty special site. The garden was the most important thing for the clients. So the existing bluestone steps you see at the top there, we retained those, and they've become new steps that in the exact same location for the new house to step up onto the new veranda. So that was something we kept as the front doorstep, if you like. The bricks have been recycled to be relaid as pavers, and the front creepers and vines that were growing, we saved them during construction. The builder did an amazing job so that they could be put back up onto the new pergola veranda at the end of the project. And the footprint of the home had to be really meticulously planned around the arborist report and the tree roots, and respecting all of those amazing existing trees and garden. So the footprint is quite spread out, not very compact, but as I said, it was all about respecting the trees, having connection to garden from every single room in the house. And the footprint sort of does kind of echo a little bit similar to the previous house that was on the site. And look, it's not a small home. However, the initial brief was for 2 homes, to have a carer's cottage separate. And so we actually made the brief smaller throughout the design process. So instead of having 2 homes, we combined it into 1 home. At the top is the client's previous house that they lived in. So they loved that home. They helped design it 20 years ago. And so a lot of the sizes, proportions, layouts, they wanted to, replicate and keep those, because it really worked for them along the way. So that was also part of the brief. And then the bottom image was the house that was on the site and how sprawling it was around all of the trees. So again, we were working with that. This is the final floor plan with the garage and laundry mudroom area across to the bottom left there. So they are completely outside the thermal envelope, but everything else is within the airtight envelope, thermal envelope, to keep it healthy, comfortable. We've got mechanical ventilation. It hasn't gone for certification yet. We're hoping still to be able to submit all the documents soon. It would be, at the moment, all of our calculations in the PHPP says it's reaching low energy certification. There was a hiccup with the supply of wood fibre insulation, and something got swapped out. So instead of an 80 mil thick board, we got 2 layers of 40 mil board. And that was great. It worked well for the builder. We were able to, they could install that well. But the difference in those actually changed the insulative value, and that pushed us from Passivhaus down to low energy just. So lessons learned there. This is one of the drone footage of when the house was under construction and the roof was on. So you can see that higher level roof popping up. So it was a lantern within the landscape to get those high level views of the tree tops and the sky. And you can see the water next door and some of the established gardens. Obviously, construction site, the garden is still now being re-established again. Demolition, so we kept all those steps, as I mentioned, so it looks quite different. And this is typical of the wintry, cold, wet weather you get in Woodend at this time of year. This is under construction, some photos of the airtight layer inside and externally, the wraps, everything taped and sealed up to make sure that we could meet the airtightness targets. So I think the builder got 0.3, well below 3 something. So definitely below the 0.6 required to meet Passivhaus standards. So it was an excellent job. And you can see that, you know, under construction there, all of those windows, and it's just constant green outside, but they get to see the changing colours of those deciduous trees throughout the year with the autumn leaves and the blossom, and it lets in plenty of light. So that corner of the house there is the northeast corner, so sort of that feature with that lantern roof above. The clients have a real love, not only for nature and gardens, but also for their artwork. So it was really important for their extensive art collection to have somewhere to live. So part of the design was this really long gallery space spine that sort of wrapped right through the middle of the building, so that you could experience the artwork and enjoy it every day as you move from room to room, as well as being able to see the garden. The client was very involved with choosing colours and materials, and the beautiful palette. The hydro wood flooring is just delightful from Tassie, salvaged timber from beneath the water. Amazing product, and just the colours and richness and quality in that is beautiful. And again, that living room shot there, you can just see how the garden is just completely surrounding the house. There's the grapevines I mentioned that have been carefully maintained and then put back up onto the new veranda and the pergola. So this veranda wraps around the front and east side of the house as well. So there is that connection to the garden to enjoy it outdoors as well as indoors. The original house was this lovely sort of orangey red terracotta colour. So we brought that colour back in with some of the cladding on different sides of the house. So you can see here is a new little courtyard space we made, and that beautiful rich colour, which really ties into the lovely autumn leaves as well. You can see that rich red again. This is at the back of the house and the new deck there, and there'll be some of that recycled brick paving going down. Again, all these established trees that were kept to enjoy, and the rest of the colour palette was, this is a bushfire prone area, so it was about having materials that were, you know, non-combustible, and also some just really simple horizontal lines, so that even though it's a tall house with that lantern, it could still feel like it was settling a bit lower into the landscape, you know, below all the beautiful trees. Another lovely detail, we were quite proud of these beautiful gutters and the thin profile of the roof. It just helps settle it into the landscape. And this project's also been open for a bunch of, you know, open house days to share with the community a little bit more about what a Passivhaus project entails, with the mechanical ventilation and air tightness and the triple glazed windows. So it's been an advocacy piece as well. And the builder, I, and the Passivhaus consultant we worked with all helped present at these open days for the community. They got to see how the blower door test worked, see the typical wall build up and what the windows look like. So this house has a fair bit more insulation, and it's also been all about aging in place, so that everything had to be accessible in the home for, you know, well into the future, but also the clients wanted to leave a legacy for future generations about, you know, what's possible for a sustainable home and a home in a garden. And if they're going to invest this money in the later years of their life, how can they do it so that they're proud of the result for many years to come? Thank you.